Hello, viewers around the globe. I am your host, Dr.Afshan Hashmi. My friends and clients call me America's India expert. To know more about me, please visit my website, drafshanhashmi.com. Today, in my author talk segment in my online book club, I am in conversation with author KR Raye. As you all know, this episode is being recorded and will be shared on various social media platforms. I am delighted to welcome KR Raye in my online book club where I love to be in conversation with authors and artists. Can you please tell about yourself and how you got where you are today as an author? And please show your books to my viewers.
Definitely. So my name is KR Raye, and here's my book. So I am the author of The Colors Trilogy, and it's a new adult series about three college friends and what it takes to screw up a friendship. So the first book in the series is called The Colors of Friendship. I'll set that up for you guys. And the second one is called The Colors of Love. And the third one is called True Colors. So what I like to tell people is that at the beginning, you start with friendship. It may or may not go to love. And then at the end of it all, you find out people's true colors. So that's the whole thing with the Colors Trilogy. And I actually started writing at the age of 4, but doing things like poems, short stories, that kind of thing, essays here and there. And it wasn't until 2001 that I actually started writing professionally. I had a dream, a crazy dream, and in the middle of the night, woke up 2 o'clock in the morning, and I woke up my husband and I said, "Oh my gosh, I just had the scariest dream. I was inside of a movie theater watching a Robin Williams movie. So it's unfortunate that he just passed, but like it was the scariest movie I've ever seen." And my husband goes, "Yeah, baby, go to sleep. Tell me about it tomorrow. Write it down." And so he had no idea that he was kind of starting this whole uh, writing plethora that kind of happened from there. So I actually started writing in 2001 with screenplays, and did the Robin Williams screenplay, but never actually sent that one out. Wound up doing 3 other screenplays, and 2 of the 3 wound up being award winners. And so I was out in Hollywood talking around to some of the agents and the producers out there, and I said, "Okay, these are award winners. How do you get them on the big screen?" And they said, "Well, believe it or not, we're not really doing original specs anymore. We're doing book adaptations. So write a book." I'm like, "Okay." So I actually went back and then wrote the Colors Trilogy. So that's how this whole craziness began.
So, is there a message in your book you want your readers to grasp?
Definitely. So at the heart of it all is friendship, because no matter what race you are or what gender, as human beings all over the place, we're really just trying to relate and form really long lasting relationships. So the whole overarching Colors Trilogy deals with friendships, what it takes to mess them up and keep them, and what are true friends. But throughout the books, there's a lot of different issues that happen, and I'm not preachy in any shape or form. But for instance, especially with what's happening in the news right now with Ray Rice and his wife, there's domestic abuse that's touched on in the first book. You also have football, interestingly enough, is a big theme that goes throughout it. You also have a lot of dealings with racial relationships. So some of the characters are black, some are mixed, half white, half black. You have all different ethnicities in the book, whether it's Chinese or Indian or Caucasian. And so how do we really get along, and what are some of the underlying stereotypes that people have to deal with, and what is it like being from a mixed relationship where you don't really feel like you're completely in one world or another, and where do you belong? So there's a lot of different things that go on in the book.
So, what inspired you to become an author?
So I've always loved writing, and it just was one of those things after I got confirmation that, hey, yeah, these are excellent books and excellent screenplays. Um, yeah, just go from there. But it's one of those things, even if you didn't have that outward um, validation, I just love to write. I love to read and I love to write. And so it's just been a very fun journey for me all the way along, because you get to do something that you're really passionate about and you're really excited about. And getting to tell stories and entertain people is really hilarious. So,
So, what special skill a person should have to become an author?
so definitely I always tell people, because I've heard some authors say that they don't like to read other people. And I go, if you don't like to read, it's very difficult to be a very good author,
Yeah.
because you're not learning the craft. You're not really understanding what it takes for a good characterization or character development or plotting or anything like that. You really need to have that kind of passion to read and understand what people like to read and what are some of the possibilities out there. So to me, you really need to love to read and just love pouring your heart out on the paper. Um, I tell people, if you want to be a published author, so you can be a writer, but not necessarily a published author. If you want to take that extra step and be a published author, you have to have a thick skin, because not everybody's going to love your babies in any way, shape, or form. In fact, some people are going to adamantly talk bad about them. So you have to be able to take the good with the bad and be able to pull constructive criticism from anything that you see or hear from people, and just, understand that, even people have critics of the Bible. So you're going to have critics no matter what it is that you're writing. So just go on, be happy, but really learn your craft more by reading and talking to other authors.
And you have a very great achievement. You are one of the Amazon best-selling author and an award-winning author.
Mm.
So can you tell my viewers and people who will listen to you that what are those about? Awards
Definitely.
and your
Definitely. So with the first book, The Colors of Friendship, it's actually places a finalist, actually, okay, places a finalist in 3 different awards. So we have the Indie Fab, so it's the Ford Awards book, or Ford Book of the Year Awards, the Indie Fab finalists. You also have the 2013 Book of the Year Award for National Indie Excellence Awards finalists, and you
right.
also have the Reader's Crown finalists. So that's for romantic.
Wow.
Yes, and then for the Amazon bestseller, we did quite a bit of marketing and promotion to get the word out there about the books, and wound up having, I can say, over 27,000 people that have gotten the first book. So it's been a wonderful, wonderful ride, and I love it.
Wow, wow. Congratulations. I'm so happy to know that. So, is any of your movie going to be in Hollywood, or are you planning something like that? I know you
we
were talking about it in the beginning, but
we always have our fingers crossed and hope for that to happen. It's like, yes, yes. I know we have. We're going to be sending out some query letters and production specs to a couple of different production companies, probably a little bit closer to the end of the year. So we'll see if anything takes place from that. But it's one of those things, you just keep writing and going and networking, and things wind up falling into place eventually. So you never know.
Yeah, I wish you all the best for that. So,
Thank you.
do you like to collaborate with other authors if opportunity comes to you? And what qualities would you be looking in your collaborative author partner?
Definitely. So, would definitely be very open to doing that. Right now, I'm actually on tour with 2 other authors. We call ourselves Book Divas on Tour, and their names are D. Lawrence and B. Schwingen Webster. And it's been a fun ride when you can work together with other authors who you respect. They're professionals. It's just a lot of fun. Um, a lot of opportunities actually open up. And so we've been recommending to people, when you go out on in concert tours, you usually have like a headliner or people touring together. Why can't
Yeah.
you have authors supporting each other and doing the same thing? So we really have enjoyed doing that. We've actually talked about doing a book together, collaboration together, about some of the best marketing tips, publishing tips, that kind of thing. So it will be more of a nonfiction, even though the three of us write fiction. Um, we've learned a lot in our journeys through, the publishing industry. And so we're thinking about possibly doing that. But whenever you're looking to collaborate with people, find somebody that you, one, enjoy being around. Two, you have the same kind of working styles, so that, if one's very deadline driven and very process oriented and the other one's really pie in the sky and not really able to kind of collaborate together, it makes for a difficult collaboration. So you definitely want to make sure that you have people that you can work together with and you have the same goals. You definitely have to have the same goals. So if one is expecting to finish, say, a book in a couple of months, and the other one is like, oh, we just want to hang out together. Yeah, that's not going to work.
Yeah. So do you have a literary agent or?
So I actually, there's one that I've worked a little bit with. I've sent a lot of my work to her, and we haven't actually formalized the whole relationship. I actually wouldn't mind doing that because having somebody else in your corner to help you out is a very positive thing. And they're also able to show you or present opportunities that you may not have as your own, if you go the self-publishing route, or even if you're with like a small independent press. Sometimes you do really need that extra help with publicity, with promotion, with ideas for your career generation. So I don't have an official agent right now, but there's a person that I do send a lot of stuff, and they actually give me great advice that it's been wonderfully helpful for me.
So do you get author block and how do you overcome that?
So, so I haven't had, I don't actually do a blog. I do a monthly newsletter that I send out
No.
all the time. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I asked, do you have an author block? Like, people, when they, so that kind of thing, and how do you overcome that? You can talk about your blog, but I want the block, like
Oh,
how
the writer's block. I got you. I'm
yes.
sorry. So I've actually been extremely fortunate where I haven't experienced writer's block. For me, when I sit down and there we go. When I sit down and tell myself that it's time to write, I generally can. But there are times where I have to overcome not wanting to make the time to write. And that's where I'll have some of the same problems that people that are experiencing writer's block go through. But you have to be very diligent and regimented about, if you want to have a book done in a year and it has to be 70,000 words, you have to kind of set up a schedule for yourself, just like you would with a 9 to 5 job, and say, hey, to get to my goal, I need to have this many thousand, words done each day, and I have to have the rough draft done by a certain time so that I can go through and edit it and have the beta readers and your professional editors go look at it. But to me, a lot of it is just sitting down, and if you can't finish what you're doing, just start a writing prompt. So there's a ton of different writing prompts, especially during NaNoWriMo or NaNoWriMo, where you can use some of the writing prompts there to get you thinking and just get you going. So that's a good way to get out of your writer's block. Sometimes it's not looking at what you did before and just letting free flow words come out. And then you can start to get back into the characters and have the characters speak and have the plotting storyboard that you may have done, have that start to take over. But there's a couple different things you can really do to try to break through writer's block. And luckily, knock on wood, I won't experience it.
So, do you have a blog now? I'm talking about the blog now. So, do you have a blog? You don't have a blog.
So
Because people say being an author, you got to have a blog, you have to write, you have to have followers. So,
yeah,
what are your thoughts about that?
definitely. So I do believe that I know a lot of my friends that have blogs are extremely successful in finding new followers that way. What I tend to do in place of that, especially this year, I've done a ton of touring and going out to conferences and to conventions and to fairs and festivals. And so what I'll do is always have a mailing list sign up in any of the different places that I attend. And that's been huge in getting a lot of people signing up to be part of my monthly newsletter. So the way that I get around it is I have a monthly newsletter. And in addition, I also do a lot of stuff on social media. So Facebook, I'm forever posting tips and tricks for writers. I'm doing the best ways to do social media in maybe 10 minutes or less, or the top 3 tricks for getting more engagement on social media. So by doing that on Facebook and on Twitter, which are the 2 platforms that I'm really active in, that actually generates a lot of interest as well. So either way that you want to do it, those are the kind of things that people want, are for you to teach them something, for you to entertain them, for you to give them some insight into the writing world. And so whether you do it through a blog or a newsletter or social media, those are some of the things that you really need to do to increase your user profile and your database of users and readers and people that like to follow you.
So, do you write on a schedule or it comes to you in a moment?
So typically I do try to write on a schedule. It's not a regimen of like, oh my gosh, it's 10 o'clock and I haven't started writing yet. Typically what I'll do is really tell myself, hey, I need to write an hour a day. And so I'll definitely try to do that. And if you find that you fall a little behind on one day, don't worry. It's kind of like a diet, or exercise. You just go back the next time and pick it right back up and really put your heart and soul into it after that. So, never beat yourself up if, oh my gosh, I didn't quite make my target or my milestone or my goals this time, but really just get yourself in the habit. It's more of setting, that habit. And everybody knows that it usually takes about 3 weeks of doing something before it becomes habit. And just get used to sitting down at a certain time and putting pen to paper or fingers to the keyboard or, mouth to tape recorder and really start getting in the words.
So, what other thing would you like to share about your books or anything to my viewers?
Oh, definitely. If you'd like, I can read the prologue from the first
Mm-hmm.
book.
Mm-hmm.
I always tell people, if you like the prologue, you will like the series. So it's really quick. It's just 1 page. I know it's difficult for you to do that, but so here we go. This is from The Colors of Friendship. Cold, hard, still, pressed against her forehead. Melody closed her eyes and willed the situation away, but when she reopened them, the gun remained lodged between her eyes. The setting sun painted a crimson swath across the budding landscape. Crimson red, blood red. Oh, God, how did it all lead to this, she wondered, as the ice-cold barrel ironically seemed to sear her skin like a poker fresh from a stoked fire. Her blood ran cold through her veins and her body began to shake. Why? The faster her mind raced, the more she trembled. Her friends had warned her, but she didn't want to believe them. If only she had listened to Amani or stayed with Lance, things might have ended differently. But then again, what if her friends were wrong? Amani and Lance always meddled in her business. They were too overbearing and judgmental. Really, they had no one to blame but themselves. In fact, if they weren't here butting in now, making the situation worse, the gun dug further into her forehead, threatening to break skin. Melody realized as cold dread soaked her skin, it didn't matter whose fault it was. All three of them were going to die here tonight.
Beautiful, beautiful. I just loved it.
Thank you.
So, you are welcome. So, KR, do you prefer independent publishing or traditional publishing, and why?
So there's pluses and minuses to both ways, and it really truly is dependent on you as an author, what you really truly need. So from the traditional publishing side of the house, if you want that name recognition or the feeling that you've kind of accomplished it in the publishing world, that's still a very viable option for a lot of people. What people have to realize, though, is what that entails. So that they have to really be savvy about the publishing industry, no matter which way they go, but understanding what the advance means, knowing that it's an advance and you have to sell that number of that dollar amount of books to be able to break even with the publisher. You have to understand what a multi-book deal means and, understanding your rights for your book. So are you having publishing rights? Are you having audio book rights? Are you having ebook rights? Are you having movie deal rights? You have to really understand what all your publisher has and what you have. And that's where a literary agent in a lot of cases can really help people out to understand that portion of it. What a lot of people now for the self-publishing side or even some of the small independent presses are finding is they want to have a little bit more control over their books. So one of the beautiful things, if you don't like being bothered with formatting or with creating your book covers or coming up with like a huge overall marketing plan, even though no matter which way you go, you're going to have to do a lot of marketing yourself. People prefer having traditional publishing for that because they don't have to worry about a lot of that. But on the flip side, a lot of authors now don't want somebody to come in and change the cover for their book or change the intent that they had when they wrote the book. So they like going self-publishing. And along with self-publishing, even though you're taking on a lot more of the risk and a lot more of the hard work, you're getting paid a lot more. So you're getting higher royalties typically when you self-publish or sometimes go through with some of the smaller independent publishers. You're getting a lot bigger royalty than you would with the traditional publishers. So for me, I'm actually with a small independent press, and I wanted to have a lot of day-to-day say with the marketing of the books and with the cover design and with the formatting and everything along that journey. So with a small independent press, you're going to get that opportunity to be able to do that. And so I really enjoy that.
So thank you, KR, for giving your valuable time and giving your insights and thoughts. I really love this. Cheers and thank you for listening to this episode, friends. This is your host, Dr.Afshan Hashmi, now signing off from this episode, and see you soon in another episode. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. I really appreciated it.
You are welcome.